Sony 2018 is your redemption year.
What's up, Danger? What's up, Danger? Hey, didn't know they doubted us. Makes it that more marvelous. Sign them up as ominous vibes and I get synonymous. What's up, Danger?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, directed by Bob Purser, Jesse, Peter Ramsey and Rhodey Rothman, and is the 8th Spider-Man movie overall, if you count Venom, which I do. Venom's awesome, don't get the hate. As well as being the first ever animated and non-live action Spider-Man movie to be released in theatres. So, Into the Spider-Verse tells the story of a New York teenager, Miles Morales. He is bitten, just like Peter Parker, by a radioactive spider, which changes his life for good. He becomes one of the team of Spider-Men with the help of Peter Parker, an older Peter Parker who becomes Miles's mentor, teaching him the ways of being a Spider-Man. He must defeat the Kingpin, who wants vengeance for his recently deceased family. Now, you all know my thoughts on the previous adaptations of Marvel's Friendly Neighborhood Hero before he disintegrated into ash in Infinity War. I absolutely love the original Sam Raimi trilogy. Still no adaptation of Spider-Man has ever dethroned Raimi's Spider-Man. I fucking hate both Amazing Spider-Man movies with such a passion, especially 2. That one just killed Spidey for me. And as for Homecoming, it was a decent return to form for our wall-crawling hero. And as for Venom, underrated, and the most original Spider-Man movie we've ever gotten. After I've seeing Into the Spider-Verse, all I have to say is huge, tremendous round of applause for Sony. Sony, you have redeemed yourself in 2018. A huge round of applause for Sony and everybody involved in the making of Into the Spider-Verse. This and Venom are the 2 great Spider-Man movies since the Raimi trilogy. I has a freaking blast with Into the Spider-Verse. And it's about time we saw Spider-Man on the big screen in animation. So let's come to my positives. The visuals of this movie feel straight up like a comic book. You feel like you just step into a comic book at the moment this movie begins. I love to see more animated movies take on this art style. It goes to show that Sony at this point they have studied everything about the character of Spider-Man, and it shows how passionate they are about the character in this movie. Just the visuals and the backgrounds for the city and the comic book phrases that they put on screen, like "pow" and as stuff you would read in a comic book. I was geeking out to the nth degree, and it's a Spider-Man movie we've never seen before. Peter Parker isn't the main character this time. It has none of the origin story this time round. This is an entirely new Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I love that this movie addresses that there is just more than one Spider-Man that Stan Lee wrote, and in Miles Morales' case, he is you feel really bad for him and what he's going through with his personal life issues. While he does have a decent relationship with his mum, thankfully, he he doesn't get along at all with his father, who's a cop, and we also get a bit of his bond with his uncle. Yeah, I absolutely loved seeing the story of a different Spider-Man other than Peter Parker. I'm sure there are plenty of teenagers out there that can see themselves in Miles, and Peter being the mentor figure this time, I absolutely loved that. Seeing him teach Miles what Uncle Ben taught him. With great power comes great responsibility. Yeah, that was just the best. In fact, I loved every single member of the Spider team. They are the best, especially Gwen Stacy. Finally, we have a Spider Girl in a Spider-Man movie. She's fabulous, and her pink outfits are freaking adorable, and Spider Pork Chops, who's similar to Plopper from the Spider Pig in the Simpsons movie. Yeah, and he was such a lovable little guy, and I never thought a Spider Pig existed in the Marvel comics until this movie. Yeah, this movie taught me more about Spider-Man than the previous movies did, the action sequences, whoa, will stun you. They are as amazing as Spider-Man himself. Even the shots when you have the Spider-Mans swinging through the city. It's as if you're on a 3D ride at Universal Orlando, and especially the final action sequence. That was my personal favourite, yeah, I do love that this is the first Spider-Man movie in some time that had the decency to have some heart. Homecoming was fun, but it had a lack of heart and epic moments. This movie brought them back to what we love about Spider-Man, although is Into the Spider-Verse the perfect, greatest Spider-Man movie ever made, as critics and moviegoers are praising it as. In my personal opinion, not necessarily. I do still have just one or two negatives with Into the Spider-Verse, and the weakest character in this movie, right off the bat, is the Kingpin, the villain. While I was hyped to finally see the Kingpin in a Spider-Man movie, his character is a rip-off of the shitty villain from Deadpool 2, Cable. He's just a dude who wants to avenge the death of his family. I'm like... Deadpool 2 did that first, Sony, sorry, and you know I wasn't a fan of Deadpool 2, but thankfully this movie is infinity times better than Deadpool 2, I'm pleased to say, and the Kingpin's design was just not right. So he looked like the Blob from X-Men more than the Kingpin. But that's all my negatives out of the way, thankfully, as overall Into the Spider-Verse is a special and totally awesome Spider-Man movie. It would be my third favourite animated movie of 2018, high on my Spider-Man ranking, as well as one of the better superhero movies of 2018. Even if Sony released just one bad movie this year, Peter Rabbit, I'll get that shit out of here. Finally, Sony are trying with their movies again. They have paid attention to fans' criticisms of them. So Sony, all is forgiven. I give Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 4 stars out of 5. Great movie. So yeah, this turned out the Lego movie of Spider-Man. Well, I love you guys, thank you all for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And what do you think of Into the Spider-Verse, and which is your favourite Spider-Man movie? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and on Google+, and on Instagram. And I'll see you all next time when I review Bumblebee, as well as the original Mary Poppins and Mary Poppins Returns. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.